Walid bin al-Mughira, he suggested that the only thing we can say, although it's not true, against the holy personage of the Prophet Muhammad is that he is a magician, because he divides families. And they then appointed publicizers to pass it on to the people coming, caravans coming for pilgrimage, who then passed it on in the Arabian Peninsula. But it's amazing how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His wisdom, in subtle ways, uses these negative efforts in favor of Islam. And today, inshallah, the same thing will happen. If you read this leaflet, it says, you owe it to yourself to find out the truth. The lies which well-meaning zeal has heaped round this man Muhammad are disgraceful to ourselves only. Who says this? Not a Muslim, but a famous British, or more appropriately, a Scottish philosopher. Since the great British philosopher made this statement over a century ago, there have been countless lies invented against the Holy Prophet, the religion of Islam, and the Quran, the last revelation. And it carries on. Thomas Carlyle says, the word of such a man, Muhammad, is a voice direct from nature's own heart. Men do and must listen to that, as to nothing else. All else is wind in comparison, says Thomas Carlyle. And we carry on to say, for the sake of finding out the truth about Islam, the Quran, and Prophet Muhammad, we invite you to read the booklets that are advertised here free of charge. Dr. Badawi mentioned about the age of Hazrat Aisha Siddiq radhiyallahu anha. IPCI published this booklet some years ago, Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa, a study of her age at the time of her marriage. Some copies are still available, free of charge. You can help yourself on a first-come, first-served basis at the IPCI store. Now, brothers and sisters, this question about the polygamy in Islam continues to recur, and we receive so many questions about it from the non-Muslims as well as Muslims coming to IPCI. Dr. Badawi did point out that Hazrat Dawud alayhi salam, according to the Bible, had over 100 wives. And in the Bible, 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 3, we read that Prophet Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. I personally don't accept that. I think there's an interpolation in the Bible. But nevertheless, it is there. He pointed out that Islam restricted the marriages to 4. And there were, after these injunctions were revealed, people who had more than 4 wives. And they were then obliged to divorce the number that they had over 4. For instance, Ghailan, one of the Taif chieftain, he had 9 wives, so he divorced 5. And another, Nawfal bin Muawiyah, he had 5 wives, so he divorced 1. But the question is, what is the spirit behind this injunction of being able to marry more than 1 wife? Of course, it's not obligatory. Norm, as Dr. Badawi pointed out, is only 1. You see, people seem to think that marrying more than 1 wife is for lust. And it couldn't be further from the truth. The commentators tell us that the injunctions that is in Surah Nisa, Ayah 3, relating to this permission of marrying in 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, and which is conditional, was revealed immediately after the Battle of Uhud. In the Battle of Uhud, as we know, over 10%, that is 70 Muslim soldiers were martyred. That represented then 10% of Muslim population in Medina. So 10% of the families became fatherless, the wives became widows, and the children became orphans. So now they wanted to see what solution has Islam for this. So Islam offers a solution. And not for lust, but to bring about the spirit of sacrifice. That is, a man is asked to sacrifice and take on additional responsibility of another family with orphans to offer them parental guidance, to provide them with fatherly affection, to provide them and support them with sustenance. And the wife is asked to make sacrifices by allowing her husband to take on these additional responsibilities in accordance with their capacity and with their capability. May I remind you, or at least reiterate what Sheikh Ahmad Didat used to say? He said after the Second World War, in Germany, when there was a gross surplus of women, reporters interviewed these women who were then mistresses and posed a question asking whether they would not prefer to be a second or a third or a fourth wife rather than a mistress. And they all replied in the affirmative. When asked as to why, they said, well, you see, if we were married, even though we are second, third or fourth wife, nevertheless, it will be above board. We won't have to hide anything. The relationship would be legal. Furthermore, our children will not be illegitimate. They will be legal. They will be legitimate. Our children will adopt family names. And furthermore, and perhaps more importantly, we, the wives, as well as our children, will have share in the inheritance. With this, brothers and sisters, I'll leave you to ponder, and we shall now, inshallah, break for Maghrib. May I point out that people who are from outside Birmingham, there are mosques in the very close vicinity. Just up the road on Coventry Road is Darul Uloom Mosque, but there are also facilities available here to perform salah. There is an adjacent hall, and the brother has made the opening for you to enter through. We shall, inshallah, conduct a jama'ah there. For sisters, if they go through the entrance behind where it says the fire exit and carry straight along, there is another smaller hall, catering hall, where they can say their salah. There is also provision for the sisters to have make their salah here if they so wish. We shall, inshallah, now retire and resume this session at 9:20, that is 20 past 9, inshallah. See you at 20 past 9, inshallah.